Ceremonies on this historic 75th anniversary. This year's theme is honoring the past, inspiring the future.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We will begin our ceremony soon. This will be a covered ceremony.
Will the guests please rise as able for the arrival of the official party? United States Pacific Command arriving. It is customary for ships passing the USS Arizona Memorial to pay their respects by rendering honors. Today, in addition to rendering honors to the USS Arizona Memorial, USS Halsey will also render honors to the Pearl Harbor survivors who have gathered with us today. Mr. Donald Stratton, escorted by Petty Officer First Class Juan Rodriguez and National Park Service Chief Historian Mr. Daniel Martinez, is ready to return honors as a representative for all Pearl Harbor survivors. During the attack, Don Stratton suffered severe burns on over 60% of his body. Carry on. In the Hawaiian culture, the religious leader or spiritual advisor is known as a kahu. Today, we are pleased to have for our invocation a Hawaiian blessing offered by Kahu Kamake Kanahele, assisted by Kahu Herbert Hughlin. Reverend Tsunekiyo Tanaka will offer the prayer.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Hearing the words, "the land of the free and the home of the brave," means something special for every American, every day. But today, on December 7th, it takes on extraordinary significance as we're joined here in this hallowed place by World War II veterans and survivors of attacks on military bases all across Oahu, including right here at Pearl Harbor. That fateful Sunday morning, 75 years ago, they were about to conduct morning colors when they were surprised to hear the sounds of real bombs bursting in air instead of the reassuring melody of our nation's anthem. At that dawn's early light, they ran to battle stations and to the sound of the guns as they moved boldly to begin the defense of our country. So please help me welcome again these patriots with a grateful nation's round of applause. The men and women that we honor today and those who died that fateful morning 75 years ago never took a knee and never failed to stand whenever they heard our national anthem being recognize a few of our honored attendees. Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral John Richardson, Admiral Fargo, fellow, retired, and serving flag and general officers, leaders of the National Park Service, thank you for what you do every day. Just prior to the attack 75 years ago, on a morning not unlike this one, people not unlike us were waking up to enjoy another day in paradise. Indeed, some of the veterans joining us today were probably thinking about spending the day on the beach, playing baseball, hanging out with friends, or listening to the Battle of the Bands at Block Arena right here on this base. No one knew it would be the last moment of peace for almost 4 years. The horrific events that took place here caught America, her Navy, her Army, her Army Air Corps, her Marine Corps, and the territory of Hawaii by surprise. We were attacked all across Oahu, at Schofield Barracks and Wheeler Field, at Bellows, Kaneohe, Hickam, and of course, right here at Pearl Harbor. And it fell upon the shoulders of brave Americans like these here in the front rows to respond to crisis that fateful day. The surprise assault by the Imperial Japanese Navy lasted all of 110 chaotic minutes, almost as long as this speech is going to be. It was a day of gallantry and unquestionable heroism, even as it was a day of sacrifice and immeasurable loss. In less than 2 hours, there were over 2,400 killed, 1,200 wounded, and a majority of the U.S. Pacific Fleet taken out of action. Catastrophic by any standard. The scars remain, and we see them all around us. The battleships USS Arizona and USS Utah still entombed in these waters behind me. The USS Oklahoma Memorial, the bullet holes in the buildings at Fort Allen and Hickam Field, and on the bodies and the minds of the veterans here with us today. These scars remind us of our history and how America responded with conspicuous valor. Today we have a precious opportunity to reflect on what it means to be a patriot, to reflect on what it means to be a nation tested by war, and to reflect on both the costs and the blessings of liberty. They say that hindsight is 20/20. For history has shown us that the alarm bells have been sounding throughout the 1930s. As America looked eastward toward Europe, we watched as a military dictatorship in Germany began to grow in power, and fascist Italy allied itself to Nazi Germany. But we looked westward as well, where we saw the militaristic rise of Imperial Japan. In fact, we relocated the Pacific Fleet from California to Hawaii in 1940. A move designed to give pause to a potential adversary, the original rebalance in the Indo-Asian Pacific, if you will. Even so, 75 years ago, the United States was strategically surprised, caught flat-footed by Imperial Japan. The military and first responders here in the islands mustered an incredibly brave defense against staggering odds. They engaged the enemy as best they could with what they had. For those who gave their last full measure of devotion for their nation that day, we feel a deep sense of sorrow. Yet we're also inspired by their great gift to the world, the gift of freedom itself. They did not go quietly into that night, and along with those who survived, a reluctant nation emerged to fight and ultimately win World War II. Those who survived Pearl Harbor also left us a warning. Remember Pearl Harbor. Keep America alert. Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty, and imperative to never be caught by strategic surprise again. But 15 years ago, we were again surprised by a major attack on our soil. Not by a nation state this time, but by terrorists. As before, in the preceding decade, alarm bells have been ringing. Even as we worked hard to understand those alarms, few, if any, could have anticipated the methodology behind those events in New York, in Shanksville, and the Pentagon on that fateful autumn day. Now, I'm not a preacher man. In fact, the Chief of Chaplains, Admiral Margaret Kevin, is in the audience here. But there's a passage in a good book which defines for me who those who responded in 1941 and again in 2001 are. You see, in Isaiah, God was searching for the right man, a man with the right stuff, if you will. A a man to embark on a dangerous mission and go into a dangerous land. Whom shall I send? Who shall go for us? And it was Isaiah who responded, Here am I, Lord, send me. Here am I, send me. Powerful words. When our nation was attacked 75 years ago today, and again 60 years later on another sunny day, this time in New York, Lady Liberty called out in her pain and anguish, Whom shall I send? Who shall go for me? And everywhere, soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen, and civilians called out, Here am I, America, send me. Here am I, America, send me. America is the country she is because of young men and women who are willing to forego wearing a business suit, forego strolling down Easy Street, and forego living a good life, to wear instead the cloth of the nation, to travel instead along an uncertain road fraught with peril, to live instead a life on the ragged edge of danger, to live lives that matter. America is blessed beyond riches. Our nation is blessed to have strong men and women with exceptional courage who are willing and able to step forward to do whatever it takes to defend America whenever Lady Liberty is in jeopardy. Just like the greatest generation who answered the clarion call of duty after Pearl Harbor and Korea and Vietnam and the Cold War and the Gulf War, a new generation of men and women volunteered to stand in the gap for us following 9/11. Since then, we have pursued and engaged our enemies even to the ends of the earth, and we're still at it today. A free nation cannot survive without those who are willing to place service to country ahead of service to self. So, ladies and gentlemen, every So, ladies and gentlemen, every December 7th, we remember the past actions of our veterans on Oahu because they inspire us today and because they shape our future. A tour across present-day Hawaii reveals the depth of America's tenacity to protect our enduring national interests in the Pacific. For America is a Pacific nation, a Pacific power, and a Pacific leader. Secretary of Defense Carter has rightly called the Indo-Asia-Pacific the most consequential region for America's future. This area already drives global economic prosperity and will do so for the next century. Ours is a region of rapid growth, not only in population, not only in industry, but also in competition for scarce resources and in military capability. President Reagan once said, "We can't be innocents abroad in a world that's not innocent." You've just witnessed a demonstration of America's resolve as the USS Halsey steamed around Fort Island and F-22 Raptors flew overhead. And on the pier next to us is the mighty aircraft carrier, the USS John C. Stennis, the poster ship of America's national will. Your military forces based here and throughout the Indo-Asia-Pacific region stand watch to ensure our nation remains vigilant, to keep America safe and defend our very way of life. The best fighting force the world has ever seen exists because of the legacy of the men and women who did their duty when our nation needed it the most, 75 years ago today. The selfless service of the greatest generation, both the veterans and the civilians on the home front who supported them, won the peace by ending a war. They defined our national heritage, and today we thank them for their service and their faith in our nation. Folks, this week's 75th commemoration events have renewed my confidence in the future of our country. From all walks of life and across generations, I've heard people telling their stories. I saw tears and laughter, sorrow and joy. I'm reminded of the stories my father would tell me about his freedom renewed. Today we work with allies and partners across the globe to protect those hard-won freedoms, including our staunch ally Japan. Reconciliation turned once bitter enemies into the closest of friends, united by shared values and shared interests. yet another lasting legacy of that greatest generation. Ladies and gentlemen, as we look upon the majestic USS Arizona Memorial behind me, take comfort in knowing that our departed World War II veterans continue to stand vigilant watch as guardian angels of our nation. So I'll conclude by saying that today's joint forces have assumed liberty's mantle, passed down in an unbroken chain, watch to watch, for 75 years. No one, and I mean no one, should doubt that a strong U.S. military will continue to stand a global watch for generations to come, as the legacy and lessons of Pearl Harbor are passed to our children and our children's children, who will also stand the watch to continue to fight against tyranny and injustice. To America's World War II patriots here and watching at home, we will never forget your courage under considerable fire and seemingly insurmountable odds. Because of you, our future remains bright. We owe you an immeasurable debt, and we can't thank you enough for answering the call of duty when liberty needed it the most. May God bless our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen, past and present, who stood the watch and answered that clarion call to duty. May God bless this beautiful state of Hawaii, and may God bless the United States of America, which has always been and forever shall be the land of the free and the home of the brave. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Admiral Harris. Stand by for rifle salute. And salute. Ready, two. On behalf of the National Park Service and the United States Navy, thank you for attending today's special observance of the 75th anniversary of the attack on Oahu.
Ja, ja.